national Indigenous round this week, Brad. What does that mean for the club?
Oh, we had our Indigenous jumper launch during the week to launch our jumper, which is called Tribal, and we really have a really proud history when it comes to the Indigenous contribution that players and staff have made to our football club, and there have been a number of players go through our club and make significant contributions, but we're extremely proud to be able to wear the jumper, and Lindsay just took the players through the exact meaning of the tribal jumper this week, and all 24 players who have represented the North Melbourne Football Club will be watching very closely to see how the boys represent the jumper this week.
How disappointed is he that he won't be out there?
Yeah, he mentioned that. Yeah, it's the first time since the Indigenous round concept has been introduced that Lindsay won't be out there representing the club. So he's bitterly disappointed, and I really hope that drives his training over the next few weeks to get back, because I think the opportunity for Lindsay in the second half of this year is really significant, and we'd certainly like to get him back playing his best. So while he's disappointed, he's stressed to the boys just how important this round and representing the Indigenous jumper is for our club.
Ben Cunnington ticked all the boxes this week?
Yeah, he's fine. We don't anticipate even needing to test him. We picked him, and yeah, he's all clear.
Braden Bruce, I feel like he's been named on an extended bench a few times. Is he a genuine chance this week?
Oh, well, you've got to pick a side that's got balance and has got cover for talls and smalls. So yeah, we're still working through how we can get him into the side. I've mentioned before that we're really keen to try and work out a way to get him in there, but I mean, I've mentioned also that there aren't too many teams playing two genuine ruckmen. In fact, there are a lot of teams not really going with a genuine backup. So that's the way the game's being played a little bit at the moment. So our hands are tied to a certain extent, but we'll try and be innovative and try and work out a way to get him in. And all he's got to do is keep playing his very best footy at VFL level and pushing the door down so that we do get innovative and find a way to get him in.
Has it been frustrating that you haven't been able to get him in? He seems really ready for senior footy, and I imagine it's probably not ideal for his development.
Oh, look, it's not perfect for his development. I mean, everyone would like to be playing, but 12 months ago, no one knew who Braden Bruce was outside the North Melbourne Footy Club. So his development has been pretty sound, and we've seen what he did in the pre-season and earlier on this season. So now we're convinced that his development will still be moving along at a fairly rapid rate, but I'm sure he and we would like to see what he can do at senior footy sooner rather than later. But if you have a look at our side, there aren't too many gaps there in terms of the talls, and the game is being played a certain way, being dictated by the rule makers and the way the game's unfolding. So two ruckmen's just a really tough thing to do right at the moment. But as I said, we'll keep trying to find a way.
Just on that, you mentioned the rules, you mentioned the crackdown last week that needed probably to happen on jumper punches, stomach punches, etc. Are you clear with that now? I mean, Damien Hardwick seemed a bit confused yesterday, but is it clear to your players what they can and can't do?
Yeah, I'm crystal clear. If you clench your fist and make contact with an opposition player, you're at massive risk. It would be an incredibly stupid decision for any player this round to clench a fist and make contact with an opposition player. We've had clear communication that will result in at least a report and at minimum a fine, and if there's any level of force, it'll be a suspension. So to the AFL's credit, they made a really courageous move last week not to respond to scrutiny and probably some hype around some pretty aggressive games, and they responded the way they should, which is say, hey, look, we've accepted this and we've condoned this to this point, but not anymore. And so everyone's, well, certainly at North anyway, I can only speak for us, but our players and our coaches are crystal clear.
Will taggers have a field day now, though? All the teams that have taggers, with no fear of retribution, they can niggle and harass without,
Oh, well, you can't just go up and punch a tagger. I mean, that's the bottom line. I mean, what do you can still support your teammates. You can be physical at the contest. The game has always revolved around aggression and contested possession. So you can still do that. And umpires have still got to do their job and make sure that they're adjudicating the rules. And as soon as there's holding or scragging, then if a free kick's paid, then players respond pretty quickly. So I still think, while the MRP have made their stance very clear, the umpires still have a significant role to play, and that was clearly spelled out by the AFL as well.
Trent Dumont come straight back in this week, Brad?
He's a chance. We're still sort of having a look at our midfield mix. I mean, he's going to be fit to play, so we've just got to make that call. So there's a few guys who played well last week who would be very unlucky to lose their spot, and on the flip side, there'll be some guys who didn't play who will be unlucky not to come back in if we choose to go that way. So, but the good thing is we've got a really, really strong, fit 25 to pick from.
That mix you talk about, is that the sort of, I suppose, the raft of inside midfielders you've got? Andrew Swallow coming back in, playing sort of a good role. I mean,
Yep.
Is there room for him and Trent in the same side, do you think?
Again, like we probably looked at the start of the year to get them in and play them in slightly different roles to perhaps what would be their first choice, and we'll keep working through that. If players can adapt their roles, then we can play more like what might be our best 22 on paper. But then the flip side of that is, do we play our best positional team? So we're working through that with the individuals involved and as a match committee, and we're not crystal clear right now, but we've got our squad of 25 and it'll clearly come from that.
The Blues have, they haven't had the results they would have liked. They have proved hard to score against a lot this year. How do you break that down?
Yeah, they've been defending really well. They're really well organised, and they've had some really good wins. They're like every side that's lost a few games, they would have liked to have won more, but they've been really solid and I think fairly consistent in their defensive effort, and their numbers reflect that. So we're going to have to be at our best with our ball movement, and probably look at ways to try and get the ball moving against a team that hold up pretty well defensively.
You feel like you might be able to stretch them a bit with your boys up front?
No, obviously with Sam Rowe going down and Liam Jones not being probably available for selection, that you would think on paper suggests that there might be a vulnerability there, but they've got a #1 draft pick who can go back, who's been playing forward. They've brought in top 5 picks in Plowman and Marchbank, who are very good players in their own right and can play tall or small. So I think they've got enough flexibility to cover it, but we look at our forward line as a unit, and hopefully we can get goals multiple ways, not just from 1 or 2 big blokes.
Saw the incident with Charlie Dixon last night. Someone like Ben Brown, who's got a routine, he takes a while to get back to the top of his mark. Did he have to be reminded about that, or do you hope he saw that and has it in the back of his mind?
No, he's all over it, Brownie. He starts the count in his head as soon as he takes a mark, so he's always right across it. So I think that all anyone's asking for is consistency around that, and whether it's the right call or the wrong call, let's just be consistent around what the rule is. And Brownie always he always starts his run up anyway before the 30 seconds, so he certainly doesn't kick it before the 30 most times, I wouldn't have thought. But every player has their routine. Brownie's a little bit unique, but he's such an accurate set shot, we're not going to change what he does.
12 months ago you were 9-0. Do you feel like, though, it might sound a bit odd, that you're in a better place as a footy club now, despite your win-loss record not being the same 12 months on?
It depends whether you look short, medium, long term. I think the long term, this football club's in just an outstanding position, both on and off the field. We've worked really hard over a long period of time to get ourselves in a really powerful position, and short term we'd like to have the win-loss a little bit better, but we think that the brand we're playing is going to hold up into the future. So yeah, we're really well positioned. I'm only looking forward, and the future looks bright.
The more that you show that you're tracking upwards, does that make you more attractive to players who may want to come to the club?
I think it always does. You've got to, if you can't be winning premierships, the next best thing to sell is hope. And I think that supporters, if you're not winning, they want to have real hope in the future, and potential acquisitions from other clubs would be looking at a club saying, well, what position is that club going to be at while I'm playing? So yeah, I think that's important, but we're not the only club who would say that our future is looking better than the present.
I've seen you referred to as the best 3-6 team going around. Do you feel like you're starting to get your ducks in a row towards the end of the second half of the season?
Oh, look, I don't think that we've changed too much in our view as to how we were going, regardless of win-loss. I think the season is reflecting that. You can never get too far ahead of yourself in this comp, and until a fair bit plays out and just about everyone's played each other once, we're not going to get a really good, accurate picture as to where everyone sits. And while the ladder at the moment, usually history says it doesn't change much from this point on, probably only 1 or 2 positions. But this year, I think with the fluctuations from week to week from teams who, Sydney, a few weeks ago against Brisbane were 0-6 and they started $1.07 favourites. So that just tells you that it's such a topsy-turvy season, and anyone can get beaten on any given day. So we'll wait for a bit more to play out, but we've just got to keep focusing on the next week, and this week it's Carlton. We get the job done, then we look to the next week.